Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of BretFlix. This is episode 3. This is BretFlix 3D. Ooh, yes. We're gonna continue today. We're gonna start off with our. We're gonna continue with our Albert Brooks-a-thon. Excuse me, I stuttered a little bit there. We're gonna continue with our Albert Brooks-a-thon. His next movie in the list is Lost in America. Lost in America is probably my favorite movie of his. It's a masterpiece. Well, I don't know if it's my favorite. Maybe that or a later one. We'll talk about that. Anyway, Lost in America is arguably his best movie. It is about Albert Brooks and his wife. They are upper class. They have a lot of money. They think they have everything, and they realize they're kind of miserable, and they decide to sell off everything. They decide to get rid of everything they own, sell it all, and buy a motorhome and travel America and just spend the rest of their lives on the road and just having experiences and seeing the world, or I guess at least the world as far as the American border goes. I don't know. I don't know if they really plan on going to Canada or Mexico or what, but yes, so that is the basic premise of the movie, and really quick, things go bad. His wife has somewhat of a gambling problem, and which is something he didn't know, and gambles it all away, and very early on in their trip, they are stuck. And so the movie is them kind of going from riches to poverty. It's a movie about thinking you know what you want, but not really knowing what you want, and doing what you can to, I guess, achieve some sort of happiness you feel like you're supposed to have, or something like that. It's a really, really funny movie. It kind of further establishes Albert Brooks' own brand of comedy, because it's not like, you know, a comedy where you get a lot of bellowing laughs, where you're like laughing, ha ha ha, super loud. It's more of just kind of situational, where you relate a lot to what's happening on screen, and so it's funny, you know, but it's also kind of real at the same time. Lost in America is a really great movie. It's kind of a high point in Brooks's directing career. So watch that movie, and yeah, further love Albert Brooks, as I do every single day. We're gonna move on to some Halloween movies, because it is October. I figure 'tis the season. You need to watch some horror movies. Because horror movies are a great genre. Not a lot of people dig them. I don't blame them for that. But there's some good ones out there that you really don't want to miss. But sadly, there's not a whole lot of very good ones on Netflix. Like I want to say, like, oh, you know, John Carpenter's Halloween and The Shining and The Exorcist, which they just took off of Netflix. I was going to talk about that movie today, and I double checked, and it's not even on Netflix anymore. It's like, it was on there like 3 days ago, and now it's October and you take it off. Sometimes I don't understand the world and how it works. But there's not a whole lot of good choices, but the good ones are pretty good. I'm gonna start off talking about a movie called The Uninvited, which is an American remake of a Korean movie called A Tale of Two Sisters. Now, if you can get a hold of A Tale of Two Sisters, that's the one to really watch, because I'm going to say this now, A Tale of Two Sisters is the scariest movie I have ever seen in my entire life. That is one of the only horror movies that actually made me want to have the lights on, that kept me up at night, you know. I mean, since I became an adult. I mean, when you're a kid, every horror movie does that. But yeah, that is a truly terrifying movie, the Korean version. The American version is also good. It's not as good. It doesn't have half the atmosphere, half the terror or suspense of the Korean version, but it's still just as good. It stars Elizabeth Banks, I believe her name is, and Emily Browning, the girl we all know and love from the Lemony Snicket movie. And it's, I don't know, for me, I feel like it's kind of hard to fairly judge this movie, because I am just kind of comparing it to the original, and a lot of what I see is just like, oh, they did it so much better than the original. But this is a really solid movie. It probably will creep you out. So I recommend to check out The Uninvited. Another one that is another horror movie on Netflix that is worth checking out is I love John Carpenter. I really want to talk about a John Carpenter movie. The only like real John Carpenter horror film that is on Netflix right now is called The Ward. Now, I said, oh, worth checking out. I think it is worth checking out, but I wouldn't exactly say it's that good of a movie. It's a very interesting movie. It's a movie John Carpenter made back in 2010, I believe. And people from my hometown who are watching this will find this movie very interesting because it actually takes place in North Bend, Oregon. I think it's like in the very opening shots, like North Bend, Oregon, 1950 something. No, it wasn't actually shot in North Bend, Oregon, and all the locations in the movie are entirely fictional. They're not actually in North Bend, Oregon. They just kind of pulled that town off, a random small town off a map, I'm sure, and just plugged it into the script. But it's kind of cool to see that, you know. I'm from Coos Bay, North Bend, Oregon, and so to see that, I'm obviously going to be like, oh, hey, that's really cool. Now, the movie itself is not bad, but it's like not all that good either, but that's kind of why I really like it, because it has a lot of strengths and a lot of weaknesses. It's a movie I think a lot of horror buffs will really get into because it'll inspire a lot of discussion. You'll talk about its weaknesses and its strengths, and you'll kind of compare it to older Carpenter films. Because Carpenter, I mean, is one of the masters of horror. I mean, no pun intended, he did direct some Masters of Horror episodes. But, you know, he made the original Halloween movie, a masterpiece. He made The Thing, a masterpiece. You know, Escape from New York and Christine. You know, these movies that really creep you out. And this one is, it's not really up to par. Because as Carpenter's career went on, his movies got continually like more and more silly and goofy and more comedic, which isn't a bad thing. I really admire his whole filmography, even when he was making serious horror movies to really goofy action horror movies. I love those too. And The Ward is kind of his return back to he was like in the late 70s and early 80s. It's not as good. I guess my main beef with it is it's pretty by the books. Like, there's nothing in this movie like that you saw in Carpenter's old movies where you're just like, wow, I've never seen something like that before. That's really creative and original. This movie, it's like, you know, if you've seen one insane asylum movie, you know, you've seen this one. It's but it is confidently made. It shows John Carpenter still knows how to make a movie. I mainly recommend this one just to film lovers, just to people who are fans of John Carpenter, people who are fans of horror movies, because I feel this will be an interesting one to check out, because it does have its fans, it does, and it has its detractors, and I'm like somewhere right in the middle. It's like I can appreciate the technical skill, but I don't exactly enjoy it all that much. I don't know, I guess kind of a mixed recommendation, but The Ward, if you're at all interested in what I've said, check it out. So, this is the first time in BretFlix history I'm talking about 4 movies. I'm talking about 4 movies this time because since it is kind of a special occasion, it is the month of October, I want to try to give you as many horror options as possible. And so my last one, I kind of saved the best for last. I'm going to talk about a horror movie that I think it is something really special. I do believe it'll be a classic 10 years from now. It's a newer one. It came out in 2014. But it is the most praised horror movie to come out probably, I don't know, maybe since Blair Witch Project, or maybe since the first Paranormal Activity. This movie was kind of a big deal when it first started making its round at festivals and stuff, and on home video. It is called The Babadook. Some of you may have already seen it or heard about it. I don't know, but The Babadook is an incredibly good movie, and I don't know if it really exceeded my expectations, because I wasn't quite sure what to think. Before I saw the movie, I heard a statement from William Friedkin, who directed the original Exorcist film, called this movie the scariest movie he had ever seen. And I was like, okay, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm sure it's pretty good, but I don't know about that. This isn't the scariest movie I've ever seen. I don't think this is better than The Exorcist. But this is a really special movie, and it is an incredibly good movie, and an unforgettable one, too. It stars some British people. I should have looked up their names, especially the person who plays the mother in the movie. She is incredible. She's an amazing actress. I've never seen her in any other movie besides this one, but she's one to look out for. I'm betting she's going to go on and do really great things. Same thing with the filmmaker, the person who directed it, Jennifer Kent. This is her first film, and it is amazing how well made this movie is. Jennifer Kent knows what she's doing behind the camera. She knows how to really freak you out. She even knows how to tell drama, because this movie isn't just a horror movie. It's kind of it's a drama horror movie, you know. And so it's like you can really see Jennifer Kent's wide range of skill just by watching this one movie. It looks like she's going to go on to do really great things behind the camera. Now, I guess the basic plot of the movie is there's a mom and her son. The son is kind of difficult. You wouldn't say, you know, he's not like, you know, when I say he's special, I don't mean like, you know, he's special. I just mean he's very different and very unique, and it's very frustrating on her. She's a single parent. Her husband died the night she gave birth to the kid, so it's like every year the kid's birthday, it's really rough on her because she has to remember her husband, you know, how much she misses him, and all these years later, now it's like 8 years after the death, she's still very emotionally damaged by it. And one night she goes to read a book to her kid, and the book is called Mr. Babadook. Neither of them know where this book came from. It just kind of appeared on his shelf, and she starts flipping through this book. It's kind of a rhyming book. It's kind of like a Dr. Seuss styled rhyming book as she's flipping through it, but the images on it are really, really dark and creepy. And as she goes through, it gets creepier and creepier, and then suddenly it has to do with murder, you know, and it freaks the kid out, freaks the mom out. And then as the movie goes on, as tensions grow higher, she gets more and more frustrated, more and more desperate and lonely and everything. Like, the Babadook actually kind of becomes a real thing. You know, you could make an argument that it's all like in her head or whatever, all in the mom's head. I like to think that it is kind of more definitive than that. Like, it is actually a real kind of presence that's like haunting the mom and the son. But the Babadook's coming around, creeping everybody out, and the Babadook is basically kind of like a manifestation, a ghostly manifestation of all of her personal issues that she has. And she needs to face it. She needs to fight it and come to terms with it and all this stuff. I'm really not giving the movie any justice, but I love this film because it is a very patient horror movie. Like there's not a lot of scenes. There's not a lot of actual horror scenes. Most of the movie is kind of just fleshing out the dramatic details of these characters and stuff, and getting, you know, letting the audience get to know these people and know their struggles. And then every once in a while there'll be a scene at night where, you know, you hear something in the hallway and she's like, oh my gosh, what's that? But all the horror scenes are brilliantly staged, and they're very, very creepy. The look of the Babadook is very, very creepy. I actually was just watching a review of the Babadook on YouTube, and the guy who was reviewing it, a really great film buff named James Rolfe, he kept showing you images of the Babadook, like close up, and it was creeping me out. And I was just watching, and it was a still image too, like, and as he's just talking about the movie, and I'm like watching, I can't even like look at it. It was just creeping me out too much. So the Babadook, not the greatest horror movie ever, like some people said, but it is a really, really good one. It's a really creepy one. I've seen it several times. I've shown it to a lot of people, and everyone's always been really impressed by it. Like, again, I'll warn you, it takes a little patience. The movie's a little long, but it's well worth the wait. The payoff is definitely worth it. So yes, the Babadook. So I gave you guys 4 movies to think about this time. I can't wait to see you guys next time. You know how much I love you and how much you guys mean to me. So again, comment, like, subscribe to my stuff. Check out other stuff. I just recently put out a top 5 video of my favorite films of the 50s. I'm currently preparing myself to do another video in that series where I do my favorite films of the 60s. Who knows, that 60s video might even be out before this one, I don't know, so that might confuse you guys. And also check out my other episodes of BretFlix, and kind of stick with me and see what's in store in the future. I love you guys. I'll see you next time. I look forward to your comments and your criticisms and stuff on the internet. Enjoy the day.